Hey guys, this is Eli, and welcome back to another episode of Eli's Kingdom. Hope everyone's doing really well. Now, we are now on episode 21. I can't believe we managed to make it all the way to 21. But just before we begin the episode, I just want to do a massive shout out to some people. Now, in the last episode, I finally announced that I've created a Patreon account. And since that episode, I've had 3 people pledge money on Patreon. So thank you so much, guys. That is an incredible response. I think nothing says I'm enjoying your channel more than people actually pledging money, so it's been a massive motivation booster. I really do appreciate this, and of course 100% of any donations is going to be going towards helping the channel grow, so I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. Thank you so much. But just to continue from where we started in the last episode, we were doing some work in the wheat farm. We actually managed to finish the inside of the wheat farm, so we have one of these villagers. He's going around, he's plucking all the wheat out, and we have some minecarts underneath which is picking up all that wheat. Now, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. I mean, he is doing his rounds. Occasionally he does just kind of stand at the side, and I think he's actually staring at this wheat here. And I mean, it's maybe a slight issue. You know, we are maybe getting a little bit of loss when he's not doing any plucking. So I think one of the suggestions I had in the last episode was to actually bring in a second villager, and hopefully that should double the efficiency of this thing. So I think that's a pretty good idea. We'll definitely be doing that at some point soon. There was a tiny change that was made underneath. If we do have a nice little secret door here. If we just go down here, before we had the minecarts pretty much running 24/7, and it was really loud. It was really annoying, you know, having all that minecart noise. So just between episodes, I've installed this new timer circuit, which was definitely one of the suggestions we had in the last episode. And this thing is working really well. This is a silent version of the EliTheHopper clock. I'm not too sure why anyone would choose to build the EliTheHopper clock, because the silent one is pretty much the same size, and you know, it's completely silent. There's no moving pistons or anything. So this thing works really well. There's basically 5 stacks of cobblestone that move from this hopper into this one. When this one is completely empty, we get a very short 4-tick pulse that comes through this, and it's basically long enough to fire the minecarts. The minecarts will do their rounds, they'll pick up all of the wheat, and they should go back to the unloading stations where they're just going to sit. Now, it turns out 5 stacks of cobblestone equates to around about 4 minutes, which is actually perfect because we have a 5-minute despawn time on all of the wheat. So 4 minutes is just about right. And do you know what? We are already getting a ton of resources. I mean, this thing's been running for about 2 hours now, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 11 stacks of wheat. And this is just one double chest. We have another double chest at the other side over there. So yeah, this thing is working really well. We are going to be getting a ton of wheat, and I think that double chest is going to get full pretty soon. So definitely the plan for the first part of this episode is to try and sort out better storage for this thing. Now, I think we mentioned in the last episode that some of the wheat is going to get sent over to Creeper Castle. I think some of it will probably get sent over to the prison trading hall, because we are going to need some of it to trade with the villagers. But I'd say for the bulk of it, most of it will probably just get stored locally. So we'll actually just keep it in a storage silo over here. Now, I was trying to think about how best to do this, because we probably are going to have a bunch of other farms inside the windmill. You know, we'll have our pumpkin farms, we'll have melon farms. But I think because the wheat's on top, I think we're going to treat it a little bit special. So what I think we're going to do in today's episode is we're going to be building a farmhouse and storage silo. Now, when I say storage silo, I don't necessarily mean like the storage silos we have on the inside, although we are going to be doing that, but we're going to be building a proper farmhouse storage silo. So I guess that's where the silo gets its name from. It's a farm silo. It's basically one of these big cylindrical things that was probably, I think it was used to store grain. I'm not actually too sure. I assume it was used to store grain. But we're going to be building it in this area here. So we'll do a proper American style farmhouse with, nice red and white colors. And then we'll do something similar for the silo. We'll build the silo next to it. We could potentially do multiple silos because, that is a thing. I think in today's episode, we'll just be doing the one. And I've actually come up with a cool design for the silo. And I think what's really, really impressive about this design is the silo itself is a storage silo, but it actually has an inbuilt item elevator into the cylinder, so it's capable of transporting the items all the way to the top and then delivering them through the chests all the way to the lowest chest where the items will start storing up. And then we do also have indicator lights on the front, which are going to light up one by one when our chest becomes full. So it's a pretty cool build. I think we're going to do this in a time lapse. We're also going to use some of the new concrete blocks, which I've never done before. So concrete, I believe you have to use sand and gravel, and apparently I have neither of any. I think most of the sand we'd actually smelted into glass. The gravel, I mean, gravel's not really had much of a use for anything, so I don't think I've ever really collected it, and apparently I have less than 2 stacks of gravel, which is really weird because I've never thrown it away, but, you know, since episode 1, we've only managed to get less than 2 stacks. So I'm definitely going to have to go do some resource gathering. I think I'll do this off camera. Also have to head down to the desert just over here to gather some sand, craft up some concrete. We're going to need some red dye, some white dye, and I think that's it. The rest is just going to be spruce wood for the roof. So let's pop into a third-person time-lapse. I'll see you guys in just a moment. And we are back. Now, I think the first thing to mention is the barn that you see in front of you is not the barn we built in the time-lapse. Basically, towards the end of the time-lapse, I took a few steps back, I looked at what we'd created, and I was just like, yuck. This thing is hideous. It has to go. So, you know, I wasn't happy with it at all. I basically had to change the entire front of this. I think the roof got changed. We have this really nice quartz in the front now, which looks much better. I got rid of some of the spruce wood. The shape was wrong as well. I think this part here was extended further, too far out. This needed to come in even more. And then we had this white line down the center where the top half was sticking out and the bottom half was sticking in. It wasn't good. It was embarrassing. I'm sorry that we built that. Just pretend that never happened. So I redid the front. We have this nice pillar thing, which I think looks really good. I wanted to try and keep this consistent line here. So, I tried doing the line. It just didn't work, but I did a pillar and that seemed to work pretty well. So yeah, I mean, I think it does look much better now. The roof, the spruce just wasn't working. I mean, it was the wrong color. I decided that had to go. So this is actually nether brick. Now, I don't ever plan on using nether brick. I think the purplish red color is really hideous. I couldn't use it in any builds. So I decided to go in the texture pack and actually change the color of it. And I did a Google search for these red barns. I think most of them came back saying that they had this kind of dark gray slate roof. So I tried changing the color of the nether brick and this is what I came up with. I mean, I don't know if it's perfect yet. I think the color of gray is not too bad, but I didn't want to make it too light because I wanted it to contrast with the creeper castle, but then, I don't want it to be black because that looks a bit odd. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this too dark? Is it too light? It's easy enough to change. So if we need to change the color, we can do. But let me know what you guys think, because I think this is almost there. I think it maybe needs to be just a tiny bit lighter. Maybe similar to the acacia wood, or somewhere in between the two. I think that might work a bit better. The storage silo I think looks incredible. This came out perfectly. I think the roof looks really good. We have a nice kind of metallic dome on the top with the quartz, and a nice cobblestone base as well, just to kind of keep this cemented into the ground. I think this is going to be so cool when it's done. We obviously don't have any of the redstone on the inside. We do have plenty of space for chests. I think, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Is that 7 or 6? I can't even do the math. I think it's 13 lights. So we should have 13 double chests on the inside. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be a lot of storage. 13 double chests is going to be pretty big. I'm hoping it's going to be enough. I mean, we could potentially do a second silo, but I think that might look a bit overkill. I'm sure we're never going to need more than 13 double chests. So, I mean, if it becomes full, we could probably just purge any, leftovers so we're not overflowing this thing. But yeah, that is the next step, is we have to wire this thing up. So I'm just going to pop back into Creeper Castle, gather some redstone resources, and then we're going to do some building on the inside of this thing. As mentioned earlier, we're basically going to be building a modified version of the EliTheWolf storage silo with a twist. It's going to contain an item elevator hidden on the inside, and that's going to allow the items to get transported up to the very top, and then they'll get fed down a network of double chests until they reach their lowest point. And then for every double chest that gets completely full, we'll have one of these indicator lights on the front turn on. So that should just let us know how full our silo actually is. Now I think we're going to start by placing a trapdoor here. This is basically going to be our access to the double chest, so it should keep it looking quite neat and tidy. Now I've just hollowed out a space at the back so we can actually go in here and do some building. I think we'll start off with a double chest here, then we're going to do a comparator coming out of the side. This goes into a solid block, and then we want to do 2 half slabs just here. So I think basically, yeah, this is the circuit for the lowest lamp, and we do need a redstone block on the side. This produces a signal of 15 into the side of the comparator, and then when this double chest is completely full, we also get a signal of 15 coming into the back of the comparator, which is basically the only time the comparator will produce a signal. So this light should turn on only when this chest is completely full. Now I think from here we want to take a hopper from the top. I think we want to take this back 1 block, and then basically just pillar up here. We want to do a kind of network of chests and hoppers where we just do the hopper in the side, and basically just daisy chain this all the way up to the point of our tallest lamp. So once the daisy chain of chests is complete, you want to then take a solid block coming from here. You want to do a half slab and then a comparator on top of this half slab with a piece of redstone dust here. Now the same principle as below, we would have powered this from the side using a block of redstone. So we do that and then just basically repeat this pattern all the way to the very top. And then we do have the one twist again where I think on this redstone block here, we want to place 1 piece of redstone dust, and that will actually power this comparator from the side as well. So again, we want to just repeat this all the way till we reach the very top. And once this part is complete, then it's finally time to build the item elevator. Now, you may be thinking, Eli, how are you possibly going to fit an item elevator into this space? Because the drop elevators, I think they're typically about 1x4 in the area. So I don't think there's going to be enough room to do anything like that here. But if you look very carefully, we have these 3 blocks here, we have these 3 blocks, and then we also have our wall here, which is 3 more blocks. So we actually have a 3x3 area that we could potentially fill with solid blocks. And yep, you've guessed it, we're going to be doing the McPeachpie's item elevator. So it's basically going to have a dropper which will fire items up. I think this block here, this is going to be the center block. And then we'll fill up this space all with solid blocks, and they should take the items up to the very top. And then I think if we just do 2 hoppers coming out of this chest where, you know, the middle hopper will be here, then basically that hopper should pick up all the items going up. Now we're not going to build this on ground level. We're actually going to do the dropper that's going to fire the items. So we'll do it in a cavern down below because we are going to need quite a bit of space in order to sort out all the items. We are going to have a bunch of other farms inside the windmill in the super trunk, so we're going to need to sort out what goes where. We are going to need quite a large cavern underneath with all the different things, and we are going to need some redstone contraptions as well to separate which items are going to go into the silo and which items are going to go into both Creeper Castle and the prison. But for now, we can certainly fill this thing with the 3x3 blocks. So let's take this all the way up to the very top and put in these hoppers. The 3x3 area has been taken from all the way from the top of the silo down to just a few blocks underneath the ground. This is actually our ground level here for the storage silo. And do you know what? I think we may need to take this even deeper because there is going to be a ton of redstone down here. We're going to have droppers and all sorts of redstone noise. I think I don't want any of that noise to be heard from the top. I mean, when we're up at the barn and the silo area, I don't want to hear any dropper clicking. That would just drive me mad. So I think if we take this a few more blocks down, you know, we should be further enough away from the surface that we're not going to hear any of that noise. And then obviously this is going to be a very large cavern. We'll have some kind of system set up where we can deliver items if needed to the sewer system. And yeah, for when we do our future farms in this area, do you know what? I'm really excited to be building in this place. I mean, we did this last episode. I'm just desperate to be building some farms and things in here. I think it's going to be so cool when it's completely done. I did actually see a slime spawn before, so this is definitely a slime chunk. I was a bit worried that, you know, I'd messed up somewhere and this wasn't actually a slime chunk, but we did have 1 slime there earlier, so I'm very happy with that. So I think the next clip, we're going to jump back into another time lapse because we're going to be digging out quite a large cavern. I think we'll actually do a talking time lapse as well because there's something I want to ask you guys. So see you guys in just a second. The main topic I wanted to talk to you guys about in this time lapse is Minecraft multiplayer. Now, my channel's been active for around about a year, and I think in the past year I've had quite a few people invite me to play on their servers. Now, at the moment it's something that I've always declined for a bunch of different reasons. I think the main two are that I wanted to focus on my single player series, and also I just haven't found the right fit yet. Now, a whole year's passed already and I've been trying to figure out exactly which direction to take my channel in, and I have had a few more invitations to join various servers. So the question I wanted to ask you guys was, what would you like to see more on my channel? Would you like to see me joining a server and doing some multiplayer series? Or would you prefer I spend more time on Eli's Kingdom, doing more epic time lapses? I could be doing more redstone tutorials. I do have some plans on doing, various learn redstone series, or, showcasing a few more contraptions. The question is really, what do you guys prefer? What would you like to see more? So I think what would really help me out is if you guys could head down to the comments section and just answer 4 very simple questions. The first one, how did you find my channel? The second one, what do you enjoy the most about my videos? The third one, what would you like to see more of in my videos? And the fourth one, would you like to watch me do a multiplayer series? If you guys could answer those questions, that would really help me out in trying to figure out exactly which direction to take the channel in. Now that our cavern has been completely dug out, I think for the final part of this episode, I would like to spend some time trying to hook up the wheat farm to our storage silo here. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky to do because I think we said earlier that we want the bulk of the wheat to get sent into the silo, and then we want the rest to get sent over to both Creeper Castle and the prison. Now, I think just to be easy for now, it's probably better just to send between the silo and the prison. We don't really need too much going to Creeper Castle because we are limited for storage space inside there. So normally for this kind of example, we would want to use an item splitter, which basically splits items between 2 different streams. The problem with that is item splitters typically split items 50-50, and we obviously don't want that. We want to be able to send our items maybe 90% to this silo, 10% to the prison. Now, that is apparently an extremely difficult thing to do. I have been spending probably the good part of 2 weeks in a redstone testing world trying to figure this out, and I kind of have a solution, but it's not very elegant. So basically, if we pop into my redstone testing world just now, let's take a look and see what I've come up with. So the circuit we need in the kingdom is what I'm calling a programmable item splitter, and basically this is a circuit where we can actually specify the ratio of items we want sent between 2 different streams. So say for every 4 items we want 3 of them to be sent down one stream and 1 to be sent down the other, then we need a system where we can actually specify that number. So here we have a dropper, inside it's got 3 items. This specifies a ratio of 3:1 between 2 hopper streams. If we change this to 5 items, then this should change it to 5:1, 7 items to 7:1, and so on. So basically we can specify exactly the ratio we want between 2 hopper streams. Now, there is probably a big problem with this, and the main reason is that if you recall a couple weeks back, I put out a video on item splitters. Now, these were item splitters that transmit items 50-50 between 2 streams, and for the very final design, I had to showcase one that contained a memory circuit, and the reason we needed that is because sometimes these items come in quite slowly. So say we have an iron farm that maybe only puts out 1 ingot every 5 minutes, then obviously we need a system that's actually going to remember where those ingots go. So the first ingot, say if it goes along the top path, then it needs to remember that. So the second ingot that comes in, it will go along the bottom path. And then obviously after that, it flicks back and forth between the 2. Now for a programmable item splitter, we need something very similar where it will actually remember that, say we have 3 items go into the top hopper, and then the 4th one will go into the bottom one. So that's exactly what this dropper is. When items pass through this hopper here, they produce a signal from the comparator, which should fire this dropper. Now, the biggest probably hardest bit of this is obviously when we get 3 items passing through here, this will push 3 items into this hopper. But afterwards, we need the system to reset back. So it basically resets from 0 items in here back to 3 items. But the problem with that is the 4th item would then also trigger this dropper. So we need to disable the dropper for the 4th item, which I'm pretty sure is what this little circuit is for here. So something like this works fantastic if we pass in 1 item at at a time. This will actually split items in that ratio of 3 to 1. The problem is this doesn't seem to work if we just threw in a stack of items. And the main reason for that is I think this system is just too slow. It takes some time for the redstone to change, and when we have items coming in really fast, then it just doesn't seem to work. Now, I did actually try slowing down the item stream. That didn't seem to help at all. So yeah, this basically doesn't work at all. And as you can see, I basically created several different iterations of the, similar circuits trying to create this. Now, I did manage to come up with a circuit that worked for throwing in stacks of items. So if we just threw in 64 items there, we will get that ratio of 3 to 1. The problem with this is this doesn't work if we just put in items slowly. So I can seem to get it to work for items going in slowly. I can get it to work for a full stack of items, but I can't get the same circuit to work for both. Now, I did come up with a kind of patch that should make this work. Basically, if we take this circuit that works for, a stack of items, or, it would need to be 4 items at least if we had a ratio of 3 to 1. Before we come to the circuit, if we plug in one of these item packet transmitters, this is a little circuit that I showcased a couple episodes ago. Basically, what this does is this counts items, so this will count 4 items, and it will actually store them inside this hopper. And once this hopper reaches 4 items, it will then transmit those 4 items in a steady stream, and any other items coming behind will actually get held in this hopper, and then they'll get moved over to this one, and this will basically count to another 4 items. So this means that we can actually transmit packets of items into this circuit, and I've actually tested it. This does seem to work. So it's not a very elegant solution. It is kind of merging 2 circuits together to achieve the same goal. It's definitely going to work in the kingdom for now, but I am going to continue working on trying to figure out a circuit that can do both a stack of items and individual items, because I think this is a really cool circuit. It's a really nice idea to be able to program exactly the ratio of items you want split between 2 streams. But anyway, let's head back into the kingdom, because we are going to be building this one in our cavern underground. Both modules have now been constructed. We have the item packet transmitter on the right and the item splitter on the left. Now, inside this dropper, we have 9 items, so we can actually do the ratio of 9 to 1. That should feed the top part, the 9 items, into this hopper here, and then the bottom ones are going to go into this dropper, which is basically going to fire items into a water stream, and they'll probably take them over to the sewer line, I think. At the moment, I've just put in a dropper here just to catch the items so we can do a full systems test. I think inside the item packet transmitter, we actually have 9 items as well. I don't know why this actually counts 10 items. It used to be, you used to put in 10 items, and I think in the 1.11 update it changed and you had to do 1 minus the number of items you want to count. I'm not too sure why, I really don't know. But anyway, let's go ahead and do a full systems test. So I've actually counted out exactly 100 wheat. So we should get 90 in the top hopper and we should get 10 in the very bottom hopper. So hopefully this thing should be firing. Let's just check this out. Yep, that's moving items. Perfect. And that should reset itself. Yep, perfect. This one should be firing now, so that should be counting the items. Yes. And then inside this one, we should get 9. Perfect. We should have 1 down here. Yes. Perfect. Then we should get the next one. So this should go to 18, and then we should get 2. Fantastic. That seems to be working really well. So I think the next thing to do is we just got to hook up this hopper to this. This takes everything into the item elevator. This is the McPeach Pie's item elevator, and this should fire all the items up to our storage silo. And then, yeah, as we said before, this one should fire items into a water stream, which should take it over to the sewer line. And at the moment, we don't have anything over at the prison, so that's probably going to be something that we will do for the next episode. And just to finish the episode with a full systems test of this, I've gone and made a very temporary water stream that's taking all the items from one of the double chests in the wheat farm all the way down here to our system. So this is feeding both the wheat and the seeds. At the moment, we don't have any item sorter to separate the two, so that'll definitely be the plan for the next episode, is to get that up and running. But I think this is all working. I mean, I can see items going through the system. We do have some items coming in here. I've just put a double chest in for now, and then the rest should be going into the elevator. Yes, perfect. So that should be sending items up to our storage silo. It has been running for a couple of minutes already, so let's just head up here. Let's see if this full system is working, if we have actually wired up correctly. I hope it is. Let's check this out. Yes, fantastic. So we are getting all of the wheat from that double chest being fed into here. That's really cool. And I think this thing is going to run really fast. I mean, it's only probably a couple hours to get 1 full double chest. So I think in no time at all, we are going to be getting some of these indicator lights lighting up, which is, it's going going to look amazing when it's done. But unfortunately, that is all we have time for in this episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really did hope you enjoyed this one. And if you did, please consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I've been Eli. Thanks for watching.